What's going on, guys? This is the Experienced Optimist. And today I want to talk about something important. I want to talk about men leading other men to the slaughter. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I was listening to a quote-unquote red pill podcast. And in this podcast, there were some men talking negatively about MGTOW. And it got me thinking back to my group home days and my military days, where sergeants would actually warn me and other young soldiers, young airmen, about these type of men. So I'm going to go down the type of men that were on this podcast. First there was this one guy, and he was talking about low-level MGTOW. And he was talking about how low-level MGTOW are pretty much losers. You know, they can't get women. And when he was talking, it immediately took me back to the group home where I met like these young boys who were like at a young age, man. I'm talking about 13, 14, who were addicted to sex. They were basically pussy hounds. And I didn't know that name at the time. When I got into the military, the sergeants would later coin that term, pussy hounds. And these were guys who were addicted to female validation and sex. And what the sergeants told us was to stay away from these guys. And the reason why they wanted us to stay away from them is because these guys would always turn their back on their military brethren. So you would go out to a club and these guys were like, they were nuisances, man, because everything was always about women. They couldn't have a good time. They're always trying to compete for the most numbers. They were always trying to like get over on other dudes in the group. You know, sometimes they may not have money because they would want to spend their money, you know, just trying to get women and, you know, buying clothes, you know, to impress women. And they were just like, you know, they just sucked to be around. And they would do like shady things as well. Like, so let's say you're at the club and they meet a woman, and you may be an hour away from the base. They'll hop in a car, take the woman and bounce on you, man, and then just leave you stranded. Like they did everything for women. And that's one of the archetypes I noticed in this red pill group. This dude, he was just basically a pussy hound. And the fact that other men can overcome that addiction, that threatened his, you know, his mentality. You know, if he's addicted, he didn't want to feel bad about his addiction. That's basically how it goes. And it makes no sense, really, because if you're a guy, a MGTOW guy, you've overcome your addiction and you really don't want to deal with women like that and you go off doing your own thing, that leaves more women for these dudes in the red pill group. But yet these guys would, you know, shame, oh, these low-level MGTOWs, they don't want to compete or something like that. They want to shame these guys. So it just shows like, it shows that these guys really don't have men's best interest in mind, you know. Being self-actualized and overcoming your addiction, which is basically just a biological addiction to women, you know, stops you a lot of times from getting screwed over. It gives you more focus on the things that you want to do in your life. It just makes you a more well-rounded human being. Now, are there men who can't get women and they just use the MGTOW title? Yeah, I'm sure there are guys like that. But there are red pill guys like that as well. And if you're a red pill guy, but then you're a red pill guy, but you're still arrogant and narcissistic, and you're always puffing your chest out and say, "Hey, man, look at me! You know, I'm living a life. I can still get chicks, even though all this stuff is out here negatively affecting men." I mean, it just doesn't, you know, doesn't sound too intelligent, you know. But then there was another guy, and this other guy, he was the type that would tell you not to get married, right? So he would tell you not to get married, but yet, and still, this guy is married. And the problem with this is, in the military, you'll come across guys like this as well. These guys are how do I put it? They're do as I say, not as I do type guys. And these guys will screw up your military career because they'll tell you not to do something, and then they'll go ahead and do it. And then when you tell them, hey man, sergeant or whoever it is, hey man, why are you doing that? It's like, hey, I outrank you. I can do whatever I want. And then something might happen to where you're trying to do something that he's doing. Then he'll go complain to the first shirt or a guy, an officer above him, and then get you in trouble. So those type of guys, man, you always want to watch out for. Always watch out for a guy who says do something, and then they don't do it. And then they always try to justify like their actions for why they did it. For example, like this guy on the Red Pill show, he was justified. Was it? I'm married, but I use my Red Pill game or whatever to make it to where my wife loves me or some nonsense like that. Which, if you're Red Pill and you know anything about female nature, women will always keep a guy around. If you're a good workhorse, sure, she's going to keep you around. The best thing a woman can do is have a man believe that it's because of his game or his bravado or his machismo that he's good enough for the woman. The woman then knows the guy's trapped and he most likely won't leave, so she can do whatever she wants. She can spend the guy's money. She can go cheat if she wants. She can do anything, and the guy will be stuck in this malaise, thinking that he's like this alpha man when really he's not. But the third guy, what's crazy about this guy is he talks about how he's in it to help men. He likes to help men, and he said something that was, completely ludicrous at one point. He was saying that you can get a woman look for a woman that's on your level or above if you're going to get married, and that will help, strengthen the relationship and lengthen the marriage. And I was thinking, that is dumb as hell, because as we all know about female nature, females, no matter what, if they're on your level or above your level as far as like economics and all that stuff, they still nag, they still tell white lies, they still shit test, and a whole other multitude of ways that they distract you and take you off your game. But this guy, he's giving all this information and saying that he loves to help men, but then when you go to his Patreon and his website and all this stuff, this dude is charging for like every level, right? I think on one, I'm not sure if it's his Patreon or something, he's charging like $10 a minute consultations, right? So this guy has pretty much monetized every viable way to talk to him about male improvement. But then he talks about like he's out there to help you. And in the military, I remember these guys, what we call these guys in the military, were game is to be sold and not told gentlemen, right? So these guys would always try to, all right, let me back up. First of all, the reason why it was so hard to spot these guys initially, because just like the guy on the Red Pill podcast, they were pretty nice initially. They were always nice, but then when it came to wanting something, they always wanted you to pay up front for something or do something for them first. And they had this mentality. And so you're always like paying them for something and before they would do something to help you. And sergeants would warn us about these type of dudes, because these type of dudes basically they were just out for themselves. And the thing is, because the military thrives on camaraderie, which camaraderie cannot be bought or sold, these type of guys, the game is to be told and not sold type of guys, they would always get out of the military because they couldn't cut it. They could never last. And when they got out, they would generally try to find like civilians that they could prey upon and use. So to sum it up, you have those three type of guys, right? The three type of archetypes. You have the pussy hound, which will always stab you in the back for women. You got the guy who will tell you to do something and then he won't do it himself, but then he will always justify his actions, a lot of times at your expense. And then you have the game is to be sold and not told guy, which will always try to get you to pay him or do something for him up front, and then he'll take advantage of you that way. So that's the reason why I wanted to make this video, man. I wanted to make this video to make men aware of these guys that will lead you to the slaughter. And I don't care if you're blue pill, red pill, whatever. These are some of the things I learned to look out for. And I want to let other men know to look out for these type of people as well, so that they don't get taken advantage of. But if you like this video, like, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and I will talk to you later.